Alright, this is our second part of the video here. I've got most of the stuff I need. I have my washer. These washers are really nice. I used one previously on a spindle stove that I had with a magnet on the bottom. It really is kind of interesting. If you put a magnet on the bottom of your stove, your alcohol stove, then you can literally affix any kind of base you want washer-wise to it. It gives it a nice balanced bottom. So you can either go without or with. You can find a big washer, a thin washer, heavier, thinner. So that's kind of nice. So I need to JB weld this onto here. But before we JB weld it on there, I like to drill my hole. And I actually I polished this up a little bit. I don't know if you can see the difference. Probably not in the camera, but it's just a neat little thing to polish them up. I'm not really sure why I did, because I end up JB welding them all the time and they get all gunked up. But it's just easy to polish them. I think I've done that in another video. And I also found a nipple at the store. A lot of times I buy them from Tenny. They're about $1 a piece, which is super cheap, because this one was actually $1.60, and it did come with a washer though, so that'll be nice. The difference is this is a smaller diameter thread than what Tenny uses. And I've done some pilot holes here just to test. These bigger holes you see here, these two, the top and the second from bottom, are actually the M5.80, which is the tap I use when I drill Tenny's holes for his threads. And this one I purchased was a little bit smaller. It fits into this one, which is the next size down. It's an M4 or .70. And I always like to test on some scrap aluminum. I have an old paint can here. I use it to store nuts and bolts and what for. And I just drill holes in the side of it because it's not going to hold any liquid ever again. So I have my right size now, but like I said, this is a smaller thread, smaller diameter than what Tenny puts on his. So I'm a little nervous about using such a small thread in the side of the pipe here. It should hold. We're not doing anything drastic with this. It will actually go all the way through, even room for a washer on there. The washer is vital to this, and making sure there's a flat surface is vital. Otherwise, you'll have a leak every time. So we're going to have to create a flat surface, and then we're going to have to tap it out, and then we're going to put this in here. And I actually will always use a little bit of silicone, clear RTV adhesive silicone, as I'm screwing it in, making sure I don't get any on the actual nipple hole. But I always use a little of that before I screw it all the way in. That way there's no chance of it leaking. You don't want fuel leaking out around the base of your stove if possible. There's already enough chance of it leaking over the top from you over squeezing it. And then I've got a bottle here. I did not get 2 nipples. I need to go back and get another one. I didn't think about it, but I need a nipple for the top of the stove as well. And this is a nice size nipple for this particular bottle. I don't know if you can see that. It actually started to thread in there that quickly. It'll go right into the pop hole. And I don't think that I'll be able to use the cap once I've screwed this in here. I'm going to test real quick and see. But I'm literally threading this by hand, and it's bottomed out. So I'm pretty sure it's going to hold plenty of pressure and not come out. It's almost a perfect nipple for these little bottles. And again, I think I got these bottles at Kmart or Target, I don't know, in the travel section. But look at that. It still holds even after that. So that may be an interesting idea, is to go with a nipple that can screw in and not completely destroy the plastic threads. Over time that may not work so well. Every time you unscrew it and rescrew it back, and you'll probably re-thread it and eventually tear it up. In fact, I'm threading it in crooked as I speak. So anyways, interesting that I found one that actually fits in these bottles, these little plastic bottles. So that's good. We'll see how it works in here. But I only got one. Not too bright. I need to go back and get another one. I also wanted to mention the felt. Felt was not at the hardware store that I went to today, so I had to find some scrap felt. I had this and this available, and I'm out of felt. I had to cut up some scrap stuff here to get these out of it, but this will work for the inner twist part. That's what I used it for last time, and even with some scrap stuff that I punched a hole in. And you just roll up, and that's about 1.25 by, well, at the longest point is 2 3/4, and it kind of gets all bunched up here. So 2 3/4 about. And I just roll that up like this, and that's where I get the part that I twist down inside the stove. And I literally just twist it down inside there. Although I think I twisted the other end because it was all topped up where it's down on this end, and left the bigger end up top until it bottoms out. I usually twist the way the thing's made, and that gives me plenty of pieces sticking out there for that I can get my little ring around it. What I didn't have enough felt left to do, and I'm completely out of felt at this point, is to make this donut. So it almost looks the same size as that one, but that's okay because I need two. I need one for inside here. I'm sorry, inside the bottom of here, and then one for the top. I need the folded piece, which then sits in there after you screw it on, and you screw this on, then you push that one around that, then you set your folded piece on top of that, and your donut then gets wrapped over the top of that. And remember I mentioned gluing it down in the last video? It probably wouldn't be a bad idea because it's starting to get a little bunchy in the smaller one here. So gluing this outer layer down would be nice because then when you screw it in, it kind of just crushes down and doesn't pop back up. So I may do that on the lids. I may just go ahead and glue everything in with some super glue. It tends to last a couple burns. You may have to redo it after time, but after they shrink down a little bit, they kind of form themselves in and they hold their place a little better. So there would be my next size down. I haven't put anything together for the complete stove, which I'm going to. This I'm going to use for the, well, I'm not going to use that for the inner pipe, it's too short. But I could use it for the bunched up square on top. So I'll be able to get at least 2 of those out of that because that was way bigger than I needed. But I'm going to need to get some more felt, and I got to find some place that carries it because the hardware store I went to didn't carry it. And it's getting really expensive lately. It's like $18 for a 12 by 8 sheet of that stuff. And they've actually cut the thickness down, I think. The last one I purchased was about half as thick as this. So you end up having to use more whenever you're curling it up or something. Interesting that they've changed it, but nonetheless, they still can have it out there at the hardware stores. So if anybody knows of a cheaper place than the hardware stores like Lowe's or Home Depot, I actually have seen it on Amazon as well from a place called K-Tools. But if anybody knows of a cheaper place, besides the actual manufacturer, which is Zoltech, and they're actually here in St. Louis where I live, but they don't sell it at that place because that's just the business office, so I don't know if they have a direct sales for it. I've never actually called them or contacted them. Nonetheless, that's the second level of the stove, and I need to revise my some of my felt to get them both working at the same time. And I have my 2 extra caps here, which I'm going to show you how I drill and glue all this together in the next video, as long as putting this in and putting all this on there in the next video. So, just want to show you I got all my parts. I'm a little nervous about this one here. There's not much of a lip to put anything in, so I may actually have to leave some of the aluminum can. I don't think I'm going to be able to take it all the way down to where it's just that lip anymore. I was feeling it here, and there's just no room for the felt to sit on top of this lip right here in this can. So I may leave some of that aluminum side for it to sit up on that one. Oops, there's still some water in here from when I rinsed it out. But we'll see. We'll cut that down in the next one too. Take care, guys.